The Bills and the Bucks are playing on Thursday Night Football tonight, and I'm here to take a look at Stokastic's NFL DFS lineup generator for tonight's showdown slate. I'll be looking at DraftKings lineups in this video. If you're interested in looking at some FanDuel lineups, that is going to be another video right here on the Stokastic YouTube channel. While you're coming in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. If you haven't already checked out the lineup generator, you can get it for just $14.95 per week using the link in the description of this video. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Twitter, it'll be in my tweet. Again, it's just $14.95 per week, and that includes the DraftKings main slate, FanDuel main slate, and both showdown slates for every primetime game on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Great value for just $14.95 per week because every single lineup you get here in the Stokastic lineup generator is a long-term profitable lineup. These have been run through the Stokastic sims. Any lineup that was not long-term profitable is thrown out, so you're only getting the good stuff here. Let's take a look at some DraftKings showdown lineups. I'm going to do something different here today. I'm going to take a look at some chalky lineups and see if we can get any chalky lineups that look like they might be kind of unique, that are not going to be duped a ton. I generally have the goal of trying to play lineups that are not going to be duplicated a ton. If I'm lucky enough to win this slate, I want to win a lot of money. I want to be duplicated, 5 times, 10 times, maybe 15 times. I don't want to be duplicated 100 times, 200 times, because that really limits the upside of how much you can win on these showdown slates. But for here, I just want to take a look at some chalky lineups and see if any of them fit the construct of lineup that could be not duplicated a ton. So I'm going to start there. And I'm just going to use standard projections, but you can specify in the lineup generator for showdown slates, you can specify the game script that you think is going to happen. So like this top button, both teams going over their total, the bottom button, both teams going under their total, and then a mix in between. Again, I'm just going to use standard projections though. All right, so I'm just going to click through and see if any of them are leaving enough salary on the table to start. I usually want to leave at least $800, $1,000 on the table. So my concern with doing chalky lineups is that they're going to be duplicated a ton, and lineups that use a lot of salary are more likely to. So I'm just going to go through. All right, so this one leaves 900 on the table. So here's one that maybe is viable right away. We've got Josh Allen at quarterback with James Cook. No other pass catchers for the Bills here. Bills defense in there. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin with no Baker Mayfield, and then Keyshawn Vaughn in this one. We do have low-owned Keyshawn Vaughn. Josh Allen in the captain spot, 13% owned. 900 left on the table is getting to the point where I think this one might not be duplicated, 100 times. I think this one could still be duplicated 30 times or so, but it looks like a lineup that could win. It also Josh Allen in the captain spot with just one pass catcher, and it's James Cook, who is I would do consider James Cook somewhat of a pass catcher, but he's not like a primary pass catcher. He has, I think, low 20s in targets so far this year, so he's not getting targeted a ton. He is running a good amount of routes, so I think it's plausible, but it's not my favorite lineup. I don't think that I would use this lineup. It's pretty close, so that was pretty borderline. All right, here we have Allen in the captain spot again, and now with Stefon Diggs. Now that's obviously primary target for sure. Number one target earner on the team. We have Keyshawn Vaughn in this one and Devin Tompkins. So this one, even though it's in the chalky bucket, we are leaving 900 on the table, and we have some low-owned plays here in Devin Tompkins, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Josh Allen. In the captain spot, that's fairly low. So I do think that I would use this lineup, even though it's in the chalky bucket. Leaving 900 in the table, having a couple players who are low owned. I don't think this one is going to be duplicated a ton. So I do think that this one I would use. So there's one. I'm going to try and find 3 that I would use. All right, so here's an interesting one. We have Tyler Bass, the kicker, at captain. We have Baker Mayfield in the flex paired with Mike Evans. So from a correlation standpoint, that works out. We have Deontay Hardy, James Cook, and Stefon Diggs for the Bills as well. I think with this one, with Tyler Bass being 2% owned, and I generally have a rule that if I'm playing a kicker or a cheap player in the captain spot, I really don't want to use the full salary cap because it funnels people. A lot of people are going to want to play the cheap player in the captain spot so then get all the studs in the flex. It funnels people to a certain type of build. I don't want to be funneled to that build because I don't want to be duplicated a ton. I think in this case, because we're leaving 1,700 on the table, I don't mind having Tyler Bass in the captain spot. I don't necessarily think that any of these players could be easily upgraded to somebody who's better. So this is a lineup that actually looks really good to me. The first one was, I liked it. This one I think is a really great lineup. So I definitely would play this one. Let's see if we can find another. This one's leaving 1,000 on the table. We have no quarterbacks in this one. Rachaad White in the captain spot, Chris Godwin there. Bills defense, James Cook, Latavius Murray, Stefon Diggs. We don't have any super low owned players. Our lowest is Rashad White at 6.6% in the captain spot. We do have two running backs on the Bills, which I think is somewhat contrarian. People sometimes don't want to play two running backs from the same team in a lineup. So there are some factors here that help it get a little bit more unique. The 1,000 left on the table, sort of low on Rashad White. We're still, it's a chalky lineup as we said. We're looking at chalky lineups here. But I do think that this is another one that I would use. So actually, I've been looking at the contrarian lineups generally, but I think that you can find some good lineups even for large field GPPs in the chalky bucket. And I want to be clear again, I didn't say this at the beginning. I'm looking primarily for large field GPPs. I'm not trying to get unique for, a 100-person field necessarily. I mean, I'd like to be somewhat unique, but you don't need to go out of your way to get unique in those types of fields. In the largest field GPPs, I like to make lineups that are not going to be duplicated a ton. So you got to pull some more levers to try to get to those lineups that are going to be a little bit more unique, not duped a ton. And I think that this is another one. I think we found three that look pretty good here in the chalky bucket. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to save until just to see what our exposures look like at the end, show you what that looks like. So you can save all your lineups, just click save through. And it looks like we're getting some bonus lineups here. Yeah, we got up to 40 lineups. We're generally only supposed to be able to save 20, but we've been getting some bonus lineups lately and not complaining about it. So we're just allowing it to happen lately. We got 40 lineups here. Highest exposed player is Stephon Diggs. Second highest exposed player is Josh Allen. Not a surprise. Those are our two highest projected players on the entire slate. Chris Godwin, too cheap for his role on the team at 7.8K. Makes some sense. Bills defense getting in 40% of our lineups. James Cook, somewhat inexpensive there at 8.6K. No real huge shocks here among our highest exposed players, especially because we did do chalky lineups. So we're just getting to, the players that are going to be a little bit higher owned. But then we do get to some players that are a little bit lower owned, even in these chalky lineups. Devin Tompkins here. We got Keyshawn Vaughn, Chase Edmonds making in 10% of our lineups. Kind of interesting. A lot of pretty low owned plays here. So even in the chalky bucket, looks like we can find some nice lineups for the large field GPPs. I wanted to test it out. I actually didn't look at it before doing it. I just wanted to see if I could find lineups that I would like in that chalky bucket. And I'm happy with what I'm seeing. All right. Hit the like button if you have not already done so. Hit the notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good luck tonight.